February was a very interesting month when it comes to movies. I didn't get a chance to go to the movie theater nearly as many times as I would like to, but I did get the opportunity to watch some of the movies that have already been out on streaming services for a bit. My name is Austin here from Fiction and Flicks, and I am going to be ranking the 6 movies that I saw in February of this year. So, coming in at number 6, I do have Wuthering Heights. Now, this is a movie that I wanted to like so incredibly bad. If you guys are not new to the channel, this was one of my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2026. When you have A-list acting like Margot Robbie, you have A-list acting and Jacob Elordi, I feel like this is just a movie that you have to deliver on, and unfortunately, this movie did not do that. I felt like in this movie, I just was not able to connect with either of the characters. I genuinely hated both of them. If as soon as I started to like one of them, I would hate the other one, and vice versa. Not only that, but walking out of the theater, my favorite character was Edgar, the guy that Catherine actually married. And I knew as soon as that happened, this movie was just not going to be for me. Now, this movie was not all bad. The cinematography was beautiful in this movie, and I feel like the costumes that they used were incredibly well done in this movie too. It was just the overall plot. I couldn't really get behind it. Also, the emotional aspect of it all. This movie was just not for me. Coming in at number 5, I do have the original Thor. Now, I am currently doing a rewatch on my channel of all of the Marvel projects leading up to Doomsday, so that way I am fully prepared for it whenever Doomsday does release. So if you are interested in that, follow along on my channel. There is going to be a playlist that does have all my reactions to every single movie and TV show leading up to Doomsday. It's going to be a year-long project, that's for sure. However, I do go a little bit in depth in my review for Thor because for me, I truly do believe that Thor itself, the movie, could have been so much better if it was a second movie as opposed to the first one. And what I mean by that is I think that the plot of the movie itself is fine. However, if you're going to be introducing Thor, one of the strongest MCU characters that we have, you're going to be putting him into the MCU, you need to give him a killer movie. And I feel like unfortunately they did not do that for this version of Thor, and he gets put into a situation where he has his powers and everything is going swimmingly, and his father grants him the powers, and then also because of how aggressive and cocky he is, he also strips him of his powers. And I think what is really hard for me to grasp onto is the fact that for 2/3 of this movie, of his introduction into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Thor himself is not Thor. And I just feel like that they did him so dirty when it comes to that because it is truly one of the most powerful characters that we have. Now, I wanted to go ahead and throw this out there because maybe this is some sort of a hot take, and I do want to fully back this up, just full transparency here. But I truly would like this movie so much more if the first movie is a movie where he has tribes and tribulations, where it's more like a Spider-Man story where there's a learning curve and he's trying to figure out his powers and trying to be able to utilize his powers. And then in the second movie, take the plot of the movie that we have now, copy and paste it into the second one after he's already been in the MCU, where, now that he knows how to use his powers, now he's cocky about it, and then Odin strips him of his powers because he doesn't think that he's going to use them for the right reason. Like, I feel like that is such a strong plot line in the second movie. But nonetheless, the movie itself is fine. I just wish that they would have done him a little bit of justice. Coming in at number 4, I do actually have Sony's Goat. Now, I really did enjoy this movie. I'm not 100% sure. It seems like the public is just about 50-50 on it, and that's completely understandable. But this is a movie that I personally really enjoyed. First of all, let's go ahead and start with the animation style. I adored this animation style. It reminded me so much of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which is one of my favorite animated movies, if not my favorite animated movie of all time. And not only was the animation style great, but the voice acting in it was incredible too. You were looking at Caleb McLaughlin, who in Stranger Things, he's more of a reserved character. He doesn't really get a whole lot of one-on-one screen time where he is able to put his acting in full effect. And while Caleb McLaughlin is kind of hidden behind an animated person in this, he still is on full effect in this movie, and he is at the forefront of it all. It just goes to show truly how talented he actually is. I also do think that the storylines themselves just worked for me personally. I really enjoyed the fact that there was the mother aspect of it. There was something that he was working towards to be able to prove his mom that he really is going to be great with his life. There was just an emotional aspect to it that I really enjoyed, and a little bit of of the passing of the torch. I also really enjoyed enjoyed that, where Jet is kind of coming to the end of her prime and is in the process of passing on the message to the new goat. So I did think that was really fun. And not to mention, the villain in this movie, Maine, is they did such a good job with him. He is terrifying in this movie. The way that they shot this movie made him absolutely terrifying. The menacing looks that he gave, and just the darkness of him in general, it was a really nice touch. Coming in at number three, I do have Send Help. This is Sam Raimi's new movie starring Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien. I thought that this movie was awesome. This is a 4.5 star movie for me. I really did enjoy this movie overall. I felt like the acting in this movie is kind of the main reason for it. The acting in this movie is incredible. Whether it's just eye acting, there is a genuine scene with Dylan O'Brien where he's paralyzed, he's not able to move, and his eyes are telling the entire story. I really enjoyed that. Also, these two are stuck on an island together, so they really don't have anybody else to talk to outside of those two. So you have to use context clues a lot for this movie, but they did such a good job of showing exactly what emotions they were feeling. Also, Sam Raimi knocks it out of the park when it comes to whatever it is that he wants you to feel in that moment. He's going to make that full front and center on the screen. If it was supposed to be funny, he had you audibly laughing. If it was gory, he had you cringing because of how gory the scene itself actually was. This was a really nice dark comedy twist. I thought that this was a very good movie overall with two great lead actors that are in a power hungry situation. And I just thought that the twists and turns at the end were something that I personally wasn't expecting. I'm not sure if anybody else was, but man, it was a really fun movie to watch. Coming in at number two, I went and saw Hamnet. Now, I went and saw Hamnet a little bit later than when it came out. Obviously, all of the awards and stuff had come as of last year, but I really did enjoy this movie. The way that it was shot was absolutely gorgeous, from the camera angles, the overall cinematography, just everything that they did in this movie was perfect. Not to mention, they did a really good job of adapting to it being like an older style of movie and the overall, like when the story was taking place. I thought they did a really good job with that. Jessie Buckley in this movie was the true standout of this movie. She deserved every single award that she got at the end of last year. She had such raw and real emotion on the screen. I couldn't help but take my eyes off of her truly, just because of how great of an acting performance she really had. Now, this movie is incredibly dense. There's a lot of material to pack here, and I do think that after me doing a little bit of research on the movie, it made me appreciate the movie so much more. So I do think this is a good movie. And if you have any understanding of what the movie Hamlet is actually about, I do think that you'll enjoy this movie. This is kind of getting the mom side of things as opposed to William Shakespeare's side of things, and how they vastly contradicted each other, but still it helped them bond there at the end. This movie was awesome. And coming in at number one for the month of February, I finally got a chance to watch La La Land. Now, this movie is not being gatekept in any way, shape, or form. I know there's so many people that talked about this movie and really enjoyed this movie, but this was just not one that I ended up getting to. It was very hard to watch for a while because you had to rent it or you had to watch it in like limited screenings at the movie theater, but it was very hard to be able to watch on streaming services. However, recently it did come out on Amazon, and boy, I'm glad it did, because this movie is really, really good. Not only do you have A-list acting from Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, who are true and blown standouts in this movie as they're trying to both have their careers and figure out what it is that they want to do with their life, but they also still are so madly in love with each other that it's very hard for them to go in their separate directions. Not only that, but the way that this movie was shot, I have already gawked about it on my YouTube channel here in my full review. But there are scenes in this movie that just had my jaw on the floor. There's a couple scenes that are very simple. Like Emma Stone is just walking down the street in one of the scenes, and I enjoyed it so much that I'm like, wow, like this is such a well shot scene. They made sure to really zoom out and realize that the town is such a big part of the movie, and it's not exactly just about Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling, but I really enjoyed that part of it. Another part that I really liked is, maybe this is something that's common and I just haven't seen it in the movies that I've watched so far, but there's a point in time where you see Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling stuck in a traffic jam. And Ryan Gosling honks his horn, and Emma Stone famously gives him the bird. And from that moment, they don't end up seeing each other. So you then watch Emma Stone's day from that point on up until the time that she goes into a club later that night and sees, lo and behold, Ryan Gosling. But then it does a full 180. It takes you back to the traffic jam and shows you Ryan Gosling's day from that point all the way up until the time that he sees Emma Stone. And I just think that's so powerful because you get a good backstory of each of these characters from a moment that they saw each other to when they were able to reconnect again. I adored that part of the movie. Not only that, but I really did like the untraditional ending too. In a lot of romance movies, you do see the two end up together, and I felt like in this one, it was perfect that they didn't. I really just enjoyed the fact that they did not end up together and that it was just a very untraditional ending. I feel like it added to the fact that of all the tribes and tribulations that these two had to go through as a couple and the journey that they had to go on as a couple to get to where they are today. So I really did enjoy that aspect of it. So let me know down in the comment section down below, what was your favorite movie that you watched in February of 2026?